Explain like I'm 5. How do golf courses decide what the par is for each hole? I can't find a simple explanation anywhere. Basically it's based on the distance from the tee to the green, and how many shots a skilled player would need to cover that distance. Par 3 is usually less than 250 yards. Because the idea is that a skilled player can get from the tee to the green in one shot. Par 4 would be 250,500 yards. So 2 shots. Par 5 would be longer than 500 yards. And would require 3 shots. Par is based on reaching the green. And then using 2 putts to put the ball in the hole. There's something called reaching green in regulation. A par 3. You should be able to reach the green in 1 shot regulation. Then 2 putt. Par 4. Reach in 2. Then 2 putt. Par 5 reach in 3. Then 2 putt. If it's a long hole they allow you 3 shots to the green and 2 putts par 5. If it's a long hole they allow you 2 shots to the green and 2 putts par 4. If it's a shorter hole they allow you 1 shot to the green and 2 putts par 3. Qualified people are also asked to rate the difficulty of each hole. Has a rating from 1 to 18. 1 being the hardest hole on the course. 18 being the easiest. A lot of replies. But no one actually answered the question. The question isn't what is par in golf. It's how do they decide what par is. Another question is how reliable is par. Obviously not all courses are the same. Some would be easier or harder than others. Is there some standard where an organization would have to change par to better fit the standard if a course was too hard or too easy? Wait a minute. Is this where the expression par for the course comes from? Par is what an expert should make on the hole was the old quote. So what's an expert? Not defined. All answers are good, but it sounds like they're asking about golf course setup as well. Traditionally a full-length 18-hole course will have 2 par 3s and 2 par 5s per 9 holes. The rest are par 4s. That means most courses are par 72. So the front and back 9 are each par 36. Almost all courses are designed this way unless the terrain won't allow for it. Generally every 100 yards is a par stroke. Short holes are 300 give or take and a par 3. A par 5 is approximately 500 yards. Follow-up question: are most holes made with the possibility of a hole-in-one in mind? As in, is it possible, even if extremely unlikely, to complete a course with 1 stroke per hole? Honestly, it's vibes. A lot of people have explained what par is. But par is decided by vibes. There is no hard science to it. It's mostly distance. But with a bit of consideration for the shape of the fairway and what kind of obstacles there are between the tee and the green. A 250-yard fairway would typically take 1 shot to reach the green, plus 2 putts for a par 3. But if it has a right-angle turn in the middle, with trees blocking the straight shot to the green, it might be a par 4. Each new golf course flies out old Jack Nicklaus and drives him to each tee box with a set of binoculars. He then states only one word: 3, 4, or 5. That becomes the par. There's a ton of margin for error. Holes can be tougher with length, thick rough, water hazards, bunkers, fast greens, trees, width of the fairway and weather. I can shoot an 85 on 1 par 72 and 120 on a US Open setup. Par is the total expected strokes to get it in the hole, from the tee off to making the putt, and assumed as a combo of strokes to reach the green, e.g. 1, 2 or 3 shots, plus 2 putts on the green to get it in the hole. So a par 3 means that the green can be reached from the tee shot, plus 2 putts to get it in the hole. 1-2 par 3. And you should be able to reach a par 4 hole into a par 5 hole in 3 shots. Golf par is determined by 2 things. 1. How many hits does it take to reach the green? 2. You get 2 putts. The hole gets assigned a par 4 because of the entire distance. Let's say the hole is 350 yards away. Your first drive may go 250 yards, leaving you with 150 yards to go. The green can easily be reached with the second shot. Now you have 2 putts, making this a par 4 hole. Par is generally the number of strokes to get on the green, plus 2 putting. So, for a par 5, they assume a good player can get on the green in 3 strokes and then will usually putt twice. If an average, decent player can get on the green with 1 good shot, it's a par 3. With 2, a par 4. And with 3, a par 5. This is called a green in regulation and sets you up for a birdie putt. It's not always based on distance if there is a bend or obstacle, and some people can get to a par 4 green in 1 depending on the hole. But in general it's based on shots to the green. Almost entirely based on distance. There are other factors like obstacles and such, but distance is the biggest factor. This is because to hit long distances shoots accurately is the second hardest part of golf. Some would say the hardest part. Par always includes 2 shots once you reach the green, i.e. a 2 putt. So par is based on how many shots to reach the green, plus 2. There's one old Scottish guy who plays every new course before it opens and he decides what's par. How is this question allowed? Surely it breaks Rule 2.